And we're live, everybody. This is Jim Masters. Thanks for joining us. Our next guest coming up here on the Jim Masters Show Live series is none other than Arwen Lewis, celebrated singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist. In addition, of course, you see Arwen right there on the left of your screen. And she comes from quite the lineage as well of entertainment and artists extraordinaire. Matter of fact, she is the granddaughter of the iconic Oscar-winning, Emmy-winning actress Loretta Young. She's also the daughter of Peter Lewis, founding member of the 60s psychedelic cult heroes Moby Grape, and she's been a part of the creative cosmos all her life. And she is my guest coming up here on the Jim Masters Show Live series. She is a fantastic performer. Her voice is angelic, and we have a lot of mutual friends too. We were just chatting backstage. We just did a sound check. She is going to perform live here on the show for us, which is really exciting. We're looking forward to that. And as I mentioned to you, we're very excited because she has a brand new album out that we're going to be talking about. Music. This is Under the Stars. This is brand new. Again, this is something that she absolutely loves, and this is something that is near and dear to her heart. As I mentioned as well, she is the granddaughter of the iconic Loretta Young, who again is also a national treasure. How many people remember the Loretta Young show? Of course, a classic, and just a natural beauty, an extraordinary talent, a brilliant actress. Who graced the stages and the film screens. And again, her father, an iconic performer as well, Peter Lewis, one of the founding members of Moby Grape. And, this is some great shots of the group, but he's also still performing as well. A wonderful singer, songwriter, and poet. Her dad is as well. So obviously the apple does not fall, as they say, too far from the tree, and she has performed with her dad Peter as well. So lots to celebrate here on the Jim Masters Show. Welcome, everybody. She is positioned in California with her guitar. She's going to sing and perform as well. We'll have a nice chat as we always do. Let's welcome our illustrious guest to the Jim Masters Show right now. Arwen, welcome to the Jim Masters Show. I know you've been buzzing about this all day, and I really appreciate that, and we have been too. It's nice to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Jim. It's such a good experience already.
The pleasure is all mine. So how are things? You mentioned to me that the weather there at the time of this show, about 1,000 degrees, huh?
It's a dry 1,000 degrees outside, but I'm in my office in Solvang, and I got here about an hour ago. I turned the air on, shut the door, and it's cooled off. And so I think I've trapped the cool air for long enough to get me through the interview.
Well, we'll make you feel good because we'll say conversation. So it won't even be an interview. We'll just have a nice free-flowing conversation. It's really awesome to have you here. And, you really are. Your voice is, I know people describe it as angelic. It really is. And you've had an opportunity to work with some incredible people. Of course, John DeNicola, who was a guest on our show, and many others. Obviously you have this phenomenal lineage within your family, and I know that becomes an emphasis a lot of the times, but you, of course, in your own right, are a brilliant performer. Was it the influence of, the grandmother, the dad, the family members? What inspired you initially to want to get into music, singing, songwriting, and being a multi-instrumentalist as well?
I mean, I always just had this longing to be able to be a musician. I don't know if that's genetic or if it was because of what I was raised around. I mean, I was raised from a very young age around a lot of magic, as far as just being in magical situations with, I don't know, my grandmother, and watching films with her, and, spending time in Hollywood, and then being around my dad in the studio and going to his shows and things like that. And I guess that felt very familiar to me. But besides all of that, I always just wanted to be able to play music. I think any musician probably will say something similar. You feel like you have to be able to do it. And I played piano when I was young, and I didn't take it too seriously. I wish I would have. But I really started taking music, to a professional level, 15 years ago, I'd say, in my 20s. And yeah, I just like couldn't stand not being able to express myself that way. And I still really want to be able to grow even further as a musician and, be able to read music fluently and have more fun conversing with my bandmates and people collaborate with through music, because that's kind of like my ultimate freedom that I want to get to. But I'm a creative person and it's my outlet. And I feel like putting myself out there as a musician professionally has, surrounded me with all of these amazing people that I share a common interest with and community with that, spreads joy and happiness. So that's kind of why I do it.
That's a beautiful reason to do it, Arwen. And, we kind of have that positive, inspirational, good time vibe here on the Jim Masters show. So you are now part of our family. There's no turning back now. And we're so glad that you are. And one of the things I like, in doing my preparation and research, again, we keep it loose and free flowing here, nothing scripted or any of that, but which I think makes it more authentic and real as far as a conversation. One of the things I did learn is that you've had this wonderful fascination for the universe. Like it just sort of trips you out, and you're drawn to songs that take those ideas about how vast and mysterious it all is, and you sort of relate it to the human experience. That is fantastic. I love that approach. Tell us about it.
Well, I always really loved astronomy. And I remember I have a degree in English from UCSB. But at the end of, my time at UCSB, I had to take a science class, an earth science class, because I didn't do it in the beginning of my education. And so for some reason, it's funny, the counselor was like, oh, if you take astronomy, astrophysics, then that'll count. But for some reason, it ended up not counting, and I had to go back and take another class to fulfill that requirement. But when I took the class, my mind was just completely blown. I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I could just start over. But that would have taken obviously 8 more years. But it really opened my mind to how vast and mysterious, the world and the universe that we reside in and exist in is. And nothing's really certain. And we have all of, our scientific things that have been researched and, found out and discovered, but there's just so much that we can't possibly fathom or even, understand. And isn't life like that? But, I to take the metaphors of, things that go on in, the universe and the natural world. And, I think that using lyrics, in a way that are metaphorical, tied into, earthly imagery or universe imagery is just a really beautiful way to paint a picture and say something poetically. And I think music is really part of that too. I've had somebody say that that radio waves, they're caught out into space. They're caught out in space and just floating around in there, and they never disappear. They're infinite. You can take an antenna and put it up into the atmosphere and somehow find a radio show from the 1940s or something. And I think that's cool.
It's what Lucy Arnaz had unearthed radio shows that her mom, Lucille Ball, did when she did sort of radio interviews and didn't know and was going through the material in the house, and then made it publicly available, which I think is extraordinary. That's what happens. If you had an opportunity to, if somebody did approach you and say, Arwen, there's this opportunity to go in one of these, capsules and go to the moon or go in space for a little bit. Is that something you would like to do?
If I knew I was going to be safe and it was going to be painless. But yeah, I would love to be able to, I always tell my friend, I was like, you know what? I want an apartment on the dark side of the moon so I can live with the stars.
I like that.
But I would do it, if I knew it was going to be seamless, and if I knew I was going to be able to just float out in space. That's my song, "Man on the Moon," on my EP "Under the Stars." That's how I wanted it. I envisioned it I wanted it to sound kind of a little bit out of time and slow, and there's a vibe that somebody's just floating in the sky in space, and this music is kind of around them sonically, and then the lyrics just kind of were the icing on the cake for that, as far as the space imagery.
What category do you if you were walking into a Tower Records, and I wish Tower Records kinds of places still exist, because I used to spend hours going to the record stores and digging through and putting the headphones on and sampling, and then going home with, bags of CDs and different things that we've discovered, music that came from around the world, vintage material, new material. If we walked into a Tower Records and we saw the section that had Arwen Lewis, what genre section would you consider it to be, or does it meander in and out of different genres of music?
I mean, well, the first record that I made I didn't make, that I was a part of, that John DeNicola produced and made for me. I would put that probably in the rock section. But then my EP, I would say more like alt country. If I had to choose like something that's like a current genre, yeah, I would say alt country, but a little more towards the alternative side.
What's nice too, and that's a good mix. What's nice too is in 2015, you released your self-titled debut, and that featured interpretations of your father's songs.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that. What was that like, taking your dad's songs, of course, your dad, a legendary figure in the music industry as well, and sort of interpreting them in your style?
Well, I'll start with kind of a fun story that's a little woo-woo. Talk about like the cosmos and the universe and things like that. So I was, when we were finished making the record, I'll go back and tell you how we started. But when we were just about finished, I was like, oh my gosh, did I actually just do this? Because when I, started playing music right away, my dad helped me kind of learning Moby Grape music. And then we told John DeNicola, and John had the idea to make the album of me singing new Moby Grape songs. And then, I ended up going to New York a couple of times and working with John and all of these incredible musicians and engineers in his studio and doing my vocals and performing out there. It was like a complete dream come true. Like, yes, even though I have connections because of my dad, or I've gotten extra attention because of, people that I'm related to, I had to work very hard. And I mean, it was still kind of like, I couldn't believe that it actually happened. And so right before we were going to release the record, I was just like, I don't know, like, is this the right thing that I should be doing, Lord, or something? I'm not like super religious or anything, but I was walking around one night in a quiet neighborhood, and it was like 10 o'clock. And I remember asking like God for a sign if that was what I was supposed to have done. And I literally walked up the hill and I turned left and I hear music like blasting out of this house. And I was like, oh, that's a sign, like kind of joking to myself. And I walk up and all of the lights are off in this house. This is like a suburban neighborhood. And Moby Grape was blasting out of the house. Like, it was a trip. And like, wow. I just wanted to tell that story. And like, I swear, like I don't know, like I couldn't explain it. And I went home and I, was just kind of like in awe. I was like, well, I guess that means I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
What you're doing, right, exactly, which is quite amazing. And that group too, of course, legendary, and so many people still talk about their contributions to music and their unique sound as well. Your father still doing his thing, right? Still performing and still making music, which I think is quite cool.
Yeah, he's released 2 solo records with John DeNicola, and we have a bandmate named George Adrian from Los Angeles. Oh, and there's Nick Babishoff. He was with us. That was us in Texas, probably like 8 years ago. Nick drove all the way from LA to come play with us in Texas. That was awesome.
That's incredible.
He's a great bass player. Me and my dad and George, now we have a songwriting trio that we've been working together in probably for about 10 years now. And we've been working on some live recordings that we're hoping to get released. And it's been really fun to work with George and watch my dad and George work together, because George is just this incredible songwriter. If you haven't heard of him, you should look him up. He's from Los Angeles, originally from Chicago. And he had a residency at the Cat Club for, I don't know, like 10 or 20 years or something like that before it closed. He played the last note at the Cat Club. But yeah, he's just this amazing songwriter. And he has that like Chicago blues and like some like Cheap Trick, almost like power pop and then alternative influence too. And to hear, and he's like the most fluent musician in the world, fluent rock musician. So to hear him and my dad converse and create together is really interesting, because my dad, he has a very unusual thing. When he was being raised, and he spent a lot of time in New York and going to all the Broadway shows, and he was really influenced by Ricky Nelson. And I think like the theatrical musical theater pieces kind of became engraved in his subconscious. And he was in a surf band, which also has like, and then he's got like some influence in like Arabic melodies too, that like kind of came out in the psychedelic rock. And so he has this almost, I guess I want to call it's a little more ethereal than like the traditional like rock alt thing that George comes from. So to hear them create together is really beautiful, and to be able to be a part of that too. Like, I mean, I get my 2 cents every now and then, but yeah, like I think that's been a really profound experience for my dad, probably for the past 10 years, and of course working with John DeNicola, because John's really brought my dad's music to life in a way that my dad just wouldn't think of. They write songs together. John produces my dad, and he's connected to him to some other incredible musicians too. And so, and I will say, I will take credit for this. Like when he started working with me, I kind of encouraged, well, first John made my record, right? And then, I don't know, like I was like, my dad has like literally a closet full of songs, like in like so many CDs, like in boxes and boxes and boxes. And so
all kinds of eclectic mix of everything. Really? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like within reason. Like,
yeah.
I mean, he's not writing.
That's a good way to put it. There's just some things he's not letting in the door, folks.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put it past me. Frank Zappa's Ghost. If you hadn't heard that, you should check it out. And that he took a excerpt from The Rite of Spring, right, from Tchaikovsky. Is that the composer for that? That he recorded from the Disney movie Fantasia. He like put the microphone up to the TV and like took it, sampled it, and then there's just all this trippy guitar work in there. And the story, it's about like my dad like meeting Frank Zappa's ghost. It's awesome. But anyway, when I'm trying that long-winded answer or explanation or story was me saying how I think that I've had an influence on my dad continuing to create, like, because I don't know, like after my parents had me, like he had made one record, but then he was just kind of, my parents were raising us, and he has a degree in studio art, and he'd go out and play gigs and things like that, but he wasn't like, I don't think he really cared whether or not he released his music or not. And I mean, I just kind of rediscovered everything when we started working together. So yeah, I guess it just all happened that way and was meant to be.
You have some of the Moby Grape in your collection as well. I mean, it's a great sound too that they had.
Oh yeah, my friend Elise, who is married to Sam Andrew from Big Brother and the Holding Company. Do you know who they are?
Oh sure, yeah.
Well, Sam sadly passed, but Elise would always say, she was like, they were like the Great Wall of Men. But seriously, they're like 5 just like incredible musicians, strong musicians, and just complete experts in their own little genre. And they were together in tight harmony at their best. And I mean, there really wasn't ever anything like that. Not quite like that.
No. And of course, your extraordinary grandmother, Loretta Young, who people still, when I was mentioning the connection, there was the crowd very excited about your dad's lineage, and of course about you, and then of course the iconic Loretta Young. What have you learned about her that maybe people didn't know? Because there's always the image and Hollywood, but she really was an extraordinary, gifted person on so many different levels, and still beloved today with all the different things that she accomplished and did and is remembered for. Truly an icon in the world of Hollywood and entertainment and the industry. Kind of cool.
I mean, she was just...
She did her. Yeah.
But she was also like, there was a reason why people loved her, because she really loved them too. Like she was really like a being of love. And yeah, like, I mean, I guess, she was strict and she worked hard, but she also knew how to have fun, and she loved bringing joy to people. Like, I remember my dad telling me this story of her when, like, over the holidays, when she had finally made it, she would spend hours and hours and hours, like, very intricately wrapping and decorating presents. And, then she'd have my dad drive around Hollywood and deliver them to all her friends, or even her fans, sometimes. And she always, wrote back to every single one of her fans and made sure she knew that, they were seen. She said, I mean, she was very Catholic. She took me to confession when I was 10. I think I made something up because I didn't know what to say.
I was going to ask you, do you remember what it was?
I don't even know.
Yes, I ate the last cookie.
But I think, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know that, but or probably
you're still here, so obviously it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the time I spent with her, I mean, I guess I knew that she was famous, but it wasn't like the main point of us spending time together.
She's your grandmother, right?
Yeah, like she had like her awards in the laundry room. Like she didn't like put them on.
Right. I have a friend, whose mother is in the music industry too, and a lot of the the Grammy and a lot of the statues and things, they're in the storage unit.
It's like, okay, what are you gonna do? Just like put a shrine up and just
and dust them off every day and look at them? And
I mean, I probably would. I'm so vain, but I'm just kidding.
Right. I mean, if you have some, it's just, but exactly. But yeah, truly an extraordinary presence. You just turn on television and what have you, and she's there with all the great movies and all of the material that she's left us with, and is always thought about in loving ways. Do you see, you talk about your father, and there are elements, obviously, of your dad that are within you. Do you see any elements that you recognize in your grandmother, in you as well? Or have people said that to you over the years?
I mean, yeah, I get that a lot. I mean,
you do. Wow.
Definitely. That's very great. I mean, I feel like, I'm my own person, but I think my ability to, like entertain people and, I don't know, I don't want to brag about myself, right? But I think I have like a certain charisma that kind of is just something similar to what she had. And I think that I do, at my best when I'm performing, I have this way of kind of lighting up the stage and lighting up the room. And, people are always quiet when I'm performing and they always listen, and I feel like I'm able to captivate an audience in a way and to uplift people. I think the biggest thing that I probably got from her was or I don't even know if I got that from her, if this is just my nature, but the way that I want people to feel better after they see me perform, or they listen to my music, or feel understood or inspired. And that's something that she did all of, with her film and TV, that she used that medium to inspire people and entertain and leave them feeling better than when they first sat down, maybe.
Exactly. We're very kindred spirits. If people will tell you in the way we think, because that's a wonderful goal, and you have the ability to use your voice and your talent and your skill to facilitate that inspiration and hope, and taking people away from the craziness of life and entertaining them and making them feel good and have it run through their veins. It really runs deep for you, right? Music, like I've said multiple times, music and laughter, I think, are the two great universal languages, and they're so healing, not just in troubled times, but in any time. Like for me, I've used this analogy multiple times over the years. I said, I don't smoke, but music is my cigarette.
I like that.
Yeah. So music in the ocean, if I can get near them when things are a little topsy-turvy, it sort of brings things into place. It makes things make sense. Is music like that for you as well? And in addition to music, what are some of the other things that ground you and keep you plugged into not just the world, but who you are.
Well, thank you for asking that question. I think, I mean, music is definitely that. I think anything that can, if my mind starts to wander, or if I go into a downward spiral. But I think the first thing to do is, like, whenever something like that happens to anybody, the first thing to do is, okay, well, how do I want to feel? I want to feel better. What interests me? What's going to make me feel better? And usually it's something that's going to be captivating, like music. I'm also a yoga teacher, so yoga is a big part of my life in that sense. And the idea of yoga is that yoga is a science of the mind, and you use the asana practice, right? The movement and breath work and meditation to, like, achieve clarity. And I think that is the approach that you should take towards anything, whether it's just like going to the beach and, just being one and present with the beach, or playing music and being one and present in the moment with the music you're focusing on, or yoga, or I'm a photographer too. And I don't know, I have a lot of other little hobbies that I really enjoy. I love reading. But I think, yeah, like, I just think, like, whatever it is, I know I'm going kind of off on this, but, like, I think whatever it is that anybody is passionate or interested in, that's something, to center yourself and then focus on, instead of smoking cigarettes, because cigarettes are toxic.
Exactly right. Exactly. Are you always thinking and creating? Is your mind always going?
In one way or another, yes. I have to be doing something, like, all of the time.
Right, exactly. So then when it comes to creating the music, if you're not interpreting other music, maybe creating your own, what are some of the things, your sources of inspiration? Do you observe the life that's happening around you, and things that you see and your experience become possibly part of the material, or are there other inspirations that happen? How does that happen for you in the creation of the music?
Well, it just depends. Like, I've written some songs that literally, yeah, I mean, I guess I had personal experiences, but I mean, if I, go through something really intense emotionally, I am not in a place where I feel like I can create, because I need to process the emotion. But, like, after
Mm,
having gone through something, like, I can get ideas, and, like, I mean, I like my songs ultimately lyrically to come to some kind of resolution that I was talking about, like, maybe you're working through an issue, or working through, just expressing something beautiful. But, like, I mean, I guess I would say maybe, like, finding a resolution, or, like, songs I write about faith, or breaking up, making up, or, the pretty blue sky. So yeah, some songs just kind of, like, flow through me, and the music's right there, and my lyrics come out really easily. Or I find the ones that I have to, like, work really hard on, ultimately I'm not really even happy with releasing or performing.
mhm,
And so
mm.
that's when I'll, like, go do a cover. But, like, for instance, on my EP Under the Stars, I did a cover of Doctor My Eyes by Jackson Brown. And I literally was just listening to that song, and I was like, hey, I like the song. And so I, like, called my co-producer, Jonathan McEwen, and I was like, can we record Doctor My Eyes? And I mean, that guy is just a complete virtuoso. Like, he is the most incredible, I mean, I can say that about all the people I've worked with. I've gotten to work with a lot of musicians of the same talent and caliber, but Jonathan's really incredible. And I knew he'd be able to recreate it in a unique and really interesting way. And so, yeah, the inspiration for that song just basically came from me wanting to sing that song. And then we redid it. We made it more like almost New Orleans-y style, with,
Mm,
like, some horns. And, like, when we were
yeah.
at the engineer's house, we did hand clapping, and
Oh,
the
cool.
background vocals are a little more bluesy. And I had to find my own way to sing the song, because I'm not Jackson Brown. I'm more like a folk. My voice floats around rather than really, like, hits like a rock voice, or even a soul or jazz thing. But I would love to be a jazz singer at some point. That would be really cool.
I use this sometimes as a reference with folks that come in from the musical point of things, and I use it as a reference. And maybe I'm sure you'll plug into this right away. Melissa Manchester was a guest on the show a couple of times, and she's fabulous. And I asked her, what sort of inspires her as well. And she said, well, life, anything can happen. I can be inspired at a moment's notice. And sometimes, I could be laying down dozing off a little bit, and all of a sudden I'll get a big burst of inspiration. And then what I'll have to do from home is I'll have to run to the piano, and I've got a recorder sitting next to the piano, and I'll press record, and whatever is flowing through me at that inspirational moment, I will work it out and let the fingers do the walking on the keys of the piano. And whatever's happening, I will at least record that as it's fresh, because if I don't and I walk away and get involved in something else, it'll dissipate, disappear, and I might not be able to capture whatever that magical moment is. Do you have those moments? Does it work that way for you as well? Sometimes I know a lot of people say that they record stuff into their iPhones or whatever as things are happening. She'll run to the piano if she's nearby.
I know so many musicians who that happens to. It's more for me, like I'll like be sitting down and playing and then something comes to me. Like I don't actually like feel like I like hear things or just get ideas like in my sleep or out of the blue. I wish I did. But it's more like I'm sitting down and already like in that space and something comes to me, or I'll like if I do get inspired to like cover somebody else's song, it's because I'm like listening to the song and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to sing it and play this. But that's kind of how it works for me.
Has acting ever been something, since that's within the family lineage too, has acting been something that you've had a desire to add into the mix along the way?
Not really. No.
Not in a major professional way, right?
Yeah, like I guess I have my own sense of presenting myself on stage and being professional versus how I am in my personal life, but I'm kind of very similar in both. But yeah, no, acting's never really been my thing. But what I would like to do, which is in that realm, which I think would be so fun, is like, did you ever see the Glenn Campbell show?
Sure, yeah.
I would love to have a music variety show like that, and have a really cool stage. And I already know what it would look like. I would have like stars and like the moon and like a blue backdrop, and have it be like old, like a 60s or 70s style, have it like painted like a set, and like really like cool, simple like lighting, and just have like, do like a little live interview, and then introduce like different acts and have it be really entertaining, and have the artists, like I feel like on the show they do like a little tiny bit of acting, but not too much. It's more just to keep the ball rolling. And I would love to have something like that.
Kind of like a musical version of the Actor Studio or something, right? A little bit. Yes. That was on the Glenn Campbell show, the Mac Davis show, the John Davidson show. My mother had all of those on. Whenever Tom Jones was on, and Engelbert Humperdinck and Johnny Mathis, and of course Elvis, and Righteous Brothers, who are actually on their goodbye tour right now.
Oh, really?
That's the farewell tour, the Righteous Brothers. And of course, so much music there as well. Who do you like to listen to? What kind of music does Arwen like to listen to? If we came over there and we were doing this, and having a cup of coffee and with the star background and everything that you were just talking about, what would be in your boombox or iPod or player?
Well, lately, I always go to like Miles Davis. Like I love really great jazz. I always go to like Miles Davis. Sometimes I'll listen to classical music, symphony stuff. But also, I've been really lucky to have been discovering so many amazing bands, because I have a music podcast and I interview musicians, a lot of indie musicians, some music royalty. But I've discovered so many amazing like indie artists now. Like one of my favorite bands is like my bandmate George Adrian. He has a band called the Maybirds. They're like kind of heavy, like rock with an alternative twist, but like their harmonies are amazing. So I've been listening to them. There's this new artist named Paper Citizen, who's indie, but there's like a little bit of electronic in there too, which I really like. I like listening to my dad's music. It makes me happy. Things that he's released on John's record label. Let's see. And then sometimes I'll like play my chakra music, meditation music. So, healing frequencies, that's always a good time. But I mean,
the New Age channel on Sirius XM, or
I mean, I went through my whole like classic country kit, Greenwich Village, like Tim Hardin, Freddie Neal kick. I mean, I like everything as long as it's, unique in its own way and musically sophisticated enough. I can kind of appreciate anything. What I don't like, I'll tell you what I don't like. The one thing I really don't like is like the dubstep country that sounds like generic. I don't like that.
Right. Yeah. Do you like smooth jazz?
Oh yeah. Like elevator music. I love elevator music.
You do? Yeah. Yeah. So the beautiful music. So when they do those instrumental versions of all the pop songs, and that's cool because I used to work on air as an announcer on one of those stations that played that kind of music. Mm-hmm. And then they brought in, they brought in, of course, like Percy Faith and all of those, Henry Mancini and those orchestral versions of everything, standards, pop hits. Yeah, I have a huge collection of that, actually. Stuff that a lot of it's rare, and I'm in a group that we founded that was founded on Yahoo, and there's actually a Facebook group for it too that celebrates all that kind of music, and all the producers, the arrangers, the radio stations, the musicians, the session musicians, all of those. Because when you put that stuff on, it actually sounds good. You hear like their version, their take, interpretation on a song that you hear maybe on regular FM radio. And it's kind of cool. Matter of fact, did you know, a little trivia, you probably know this, the reason why FM radio itself was created was to have it as a place that easy listening, beautiful music format, which is an actual radio format that was like #1 for 30 years in America. It was on AM radio, and the sound in AM is not as clear and good, and everything in the stations just weren't as strong. So FM, one of the reasons why FM was created was so that music could air on it in stereo sound and the whole thing. And that's why that FM radio was created, was for the beautiful music radio format, which is kind of cool. So
and then it switched, of course, right? Then
then they started slipping in. I know the couple of stations around here in the New York area, New York and New England, they started slipping in some vocals. Mm-hmm. They would start bringing in, they would, every once in a while they would have some vocals like, Ray Conniff singers and that kind of thing. They would bring them in. And then they started bringing in more vocal, and then they started to bring in some of the new age. So it was still instrumental, but it was a little bit more modernized, maybe a little bit more ethereal. And then eventually went to what they called AC, adult contemporary. And now the stations are whatever they are, which is basically everything almost sounds the same now. You get the same 5 stations, and they all sound the same with the same 12 songs over and over. You hear that a lot all the time, but that's cool. So you have a real appreciation for I love instrumental music.
Oh yeah, like I'll listen to anything instrumental that's like arranged and sophisticated enough, whether it's like jazz or classical or symphonic. And I dabble in taking ballet, and I love ballet music. Like I will listen to ballets like all day. that kind of, just because it has a vibe,
Yeah.
I think it like, and even like I remember when I was in college, like our professors, more than one of them would tell us to listen to classical music when we were studying, because it activates a different part of the brain, but it doesn't distract you enough to where you can't focus. Like it's almost like has this
it just sort of takes you away. I mean, I could go further. We'd have to put a pot of coffee on and talk further, meaning I love jingles. I love TV themes. I love film music. I love TV news themes as well. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, I really love production music. I've been in so many studios in television, radio, where we're doing voiceovers, narrations, we're doing commercials, and the music that we're selecting to go underneath the underscoring, I'm like, holy cow, this stuff's really good. And we'll be laughing in this, in the production, the edit bay, listening to all the discs of the production music, loving the sound and, the appreciating the musicians and the arrangements of what is production music for things like that. So yeah, it's
I'm
love
right
it
there.
all.
And I feel like do you play music? I'm sorry, I can't remember if you're a musician.
Well, the very first instrument, believe it or not, I started at um, the violin. Yeah, age 13, violin, and then went on to piano, which I really started by ear. My aunt and uncle up in Massachusetts, my aunt's from Austria, from Vienna, and we would go up, to New England for the summers to visit my mother's side of the family. We've got a big family, New England family, and we go up for the summer. And I would always chart when we got up to their house in Massachusetts, my aunt and uncle. I would always go, everybody's like taking luggage out of the car. We're arriving. I've already darted into the dining room where the big piano was and lifted up the lid and took my cassette recorder, pressed record, and just started. And one of the very two songs that I remembered, but believe it or not, I still have them on cassette.
Oh, you recorded them on.
I was so ahead of the game. I guess maybe that's what led to being in the media industry.
Yeah.
Heart and Soul.
Wow.
And the theme to All in the Family on piano by ear. Da na 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 da na 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 na. Those were the first ones, and then Jingle Bells and all the rest. But and then have been recently guitar, probably nowhere near what you have. I mean, that's a beautiful piece of wood you have. People are actually asking about that. Tell us about that beautiful guitar.
This is a Martin guitar. It's called a concert series Martin. It's not like the extra large version of the Martin. It's like the my size version. And it's mahogany. I got it in Nashville at Gruen Guitars. And I knew I wanted a mahogany Martin because of the warm sound. And I tuned my guitar down a whole step. And I think that goes really nicely with this wood because it just gives it this really like full, deep tone. And I walked into Gruen Guitars and I saw this guitar and I said, that's it. I picked it up and I played it and then I was out the door with it.
She fell in love. It was love at first sight, everybody. Well, I know you wanted to, you're all poised there in position. Would you like to tickle us a little bit and play something for us on the show?
Sure. Yeah.
Excellent. We appreciate that.
Thanks for having me perform.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So this song is my little stripped down version of my dad's song Black Moon. And Black Moon was a song my dad wrote in the 70s in Santa Cruz. And you'll kind of hear like the beachy vibes in the lyrics. I won't ruin it for you. But he has a very beautiful recording of this track. He's doing a finger picking style guitar, and it was released on his first solo album called Peter Lewis in the 90s. I don't know if you can find it anywhere. It was on a label named Taxon Records in Germany. But I bet you can, get it on.
I bet you somebody has it, right? Digging in their collection. More than likely. Absolutely. Cool.
This one is I had like a little country progression and I loved the lyrics. And so I put it to this and then I put this on my record, and my record has acoustic guitar, slide guitar, drums, bass, vocals and harmony. And I got to work with a lot of just incredible musicians on this track too. So you can take a listen to it and you can read more about the making of all that too on my website.
That's cool. Yeah, arwenlewis.com. And
it's actually arwenlewismusic.com.
So music. Oh, yes. Let's add in music. And then we've got, of course, OMAD as well, records.com. So we'll add in the music, arwenlewismusic.com. Awesome. And take it away, my friend.
Okay. Round and round go the circles of sound. First you hear the music, then the words come down. Drifting in the window in the middle of the afternoon. I'm putting them together with my imagination, trying my best to define the situation. Shipwrecked sailors on the edges of town couldn't get a nickel for the riches they found, walking every day on the beaches of a windy sea, and searching in the sand for the legendary treasure, and hoping their ships will come sailing in the harbor. And look up at the clouds that are passing by, shadows dancing on the hillside. In the light of the setting sun, and no use looking for a reason, we're trying to find a black moon, hidden in the middle of a midnight sky. No use looking for a reason, we're trying to find a black moon, hidden in the middle of a midnight sky.
That's really nice. That is very, very nice, my friend. Your voice is angelic. I mean, we feel like we're like floating on a cloud and we're transported to another less crazy, less hectic time and place. We need more Arwen Lewis everywhere.
Thank you. No, but like, don't you think that's what art should do? I think that art
Yes.
should, in the creative process, whether you are creating it or whether you're experiencing it, observing it, listening to music, or whatever you're doing that gets you into that state, that's what it should do. Because ultimately, when we raise our vibes, it makes the world a better place.
Exactly right. Operating from that higher consciousness and exuding the emotional intelligence, the empathy and understanding of others, which is such an important thing. And I know a lot of people talk about it now. It's sort of in vogue, but it's something I think I've been doing all my life. And I think you have as well. I think you've always been in tune with certain energies and certain vibes, probably even early on when you were a kid.
I mean, my nature, when I just, if you asked me what was I like, what was my first memory, like my nature is just, like very simple and peaceful, and I love a good laugh. Like, I mean, my mom always used to tell me too that I was her like dream baby. Not that Mario's great too, but like he cried all the time. But
So tell the viewers, Mario's the
yeah,
brother.
Mario's my older brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Mario, you're great too.
no, and Mario's the best. Like he's an athlete, and he's a father, married. They have 2 children, and they live close to me too. And he was different. But I was just like, I literally like never cried. I was just like super peaceful, and I slept through the night, but the only time I did start throwing fits was like when one time my mom went to go visit my grandmother, just for, like my dad's mom had my mom just go down there and stay for a couple days, and I remember the first time my mom left and I just screamed bloody murder for 3 days. And my dad and my brother like, what do we do with her? They were going to like drive me down there.
How can they leave me?
Yeah. But no, we ended up, I don't know, they found a way to, cheer me up. But yeah, I didn't like being separated from my mom.
Of course not. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Your mother in music as well, or?
No, the reason why there's a picture of the Eiffel Tower behind me is that she's a French teacher. And we share an office here in Spalding, and she gives French lessons out of here. And anyway, yeah, no, she was a ballerina, and she teaches French, and she has been a big part of the, my dad's life too, as far as music is concerned. She's kind of she's been there for everything since they met. They've been together 45 years. And yeah, she's very angelic as well.
How apropos to have the Eiffel Tower next to with the Paris Olympics happening and everything. And do you get to go to Europe and to France to see, that side of the lineage there?
No, well, we're actually not French. My mom just I'm half Italian, Sicilian and Italian, and then my dad's side is other Northern European. But no, surprisingly, this is awful. I've never been to Europe, and I don't know why. I just never. I didn't. I'm gonna go very soon, but haven't. I never had somebody that I wanted to travel with. And then when I was in college, I had a couple opportunities to do study abroad, but then I just didn't go for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know. I just didn't make it happen. But
Right.
I think that when I do go, I'm going to just appreciate it differently than I think I would have, because I understand more about the world now. And I want to experience it how my mom experienced it. She lived in Paris for a long time before she met my dad. And she said, she spent most of her time just in the Louvre. And that's when it wasn't as busy as it is now. She spent most of her time at the Louvre, sitting in front of paintings, just sitting there with the art, like we're talking about, just kind of being one with the art, and reading all of her art history books, and French history books, and the novels, and studying the language. And she was just very immersed in the culture. It was about experiencing the culture and learning about the history of everything and why everything, I think there's such a magic, and there's not enough time in my life or our lives to learn about the history of everything. But you can dabble in many things for sure. But that's why hopefully there is such a thing as reincarnation.
Well, you sound so much like me. I talk about that. I'm like, sometimes, when you have everything on, the cell phone, the TV, everything, you almost feel, then you go searching on the internet and everything, you almost feel like you should be doing all these things all at the same time. You should be learning this and hiking and swimming in the ocean and, doing everything. And then you look and you're like, okay, how much time do we really have in total to do all the things that you could possibly do and see all the people and taste all the food and go everywhere? So you just have to sort of maximize what you have in front of you and then add things in, because it can be overwhelming if you let it be, right, that you should be on Mount Everest at the same time you're on a yacht, or you're going horseback, or just, in a hammock in Miami Beach, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Sculpting, anything, it can be overwhelming, where you feel like you should, especially in a very ramped up, fast paced world we're in now, where everything is next, do it, next. And you sound like somebody who needs and craves, you like doing it, but you need a minute to reflect on it, appreciate it, play with it, relish in it. And that energizes you to then do the next, which is exactly how I am. I like the activity and to be creative and do, but I really do need and require and appreciate and love right after that, when we reflect on what we just saw, did, experienced. I think it's so important to do that, because it not only enhances what you've just experienced, done, created, felt, whatever, elongates the feeling, but also it makes the experience richer and deeper when you take the time to do that, as opposed to just jumping from train to train to train. And it seems like you are on the same train.
Totally. And I think when people experience life that way, it gives you a greater understanding of everybody else that you're interacting with, or situations that you get in, and or whatever it is, it develops, or I think it develops a subconscious deepness of empathy and understanding of others, instead of just impulsively, exactly hopping from place to place to place, or experience to experience, without comprehending what's going on. It depends on your philosophy in life, though. I mean, some people like to live that way, and they live in the moment, and they get all their thrills, and they're very happy, and, people love being around them. And I think, different people have different approaches to life, but I'm with you. I like to process and understand and write about it, and then make a painting about it, and then listen to songs that remind me,
Feel it. You like to feel it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. I think it's part of the process. It's great to be able to do that, and to give yourself some time to do it. While you have the guitar there, is there anything else that you wanted to slip in to, they're
Sure.
loving it. The comments that have been coming in have been fantastic. Everybody
Okay.
loving what you just did, and they're loving the conversation as well.
Oh, good. Let me grab my capo. Can I do a song like an old folk song that I didn't write?
Sure. Whatever you'd like to do, anything that's yours or whatever you want to do. Sure.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, there's this great song called Diamond Joe. And my friend Zach always tells me, he's like, Arwen, your version of Diamond Joe is my favorite, and I like it more than Charlie Crockett's. So I'll be right back.
Okay. You got it. All right. And then we get to see our guest's chair. I mean, I think every episode we do get to see our celebrity guest's chair. It's really an amazing thing. We have, that's cool. But wait, look at that chair.
Let's see if I can pick it up once more. Yeah, it's from Wayfair.
That's a Wayfair chair.
Wayfair.
We have so many episodes where the guest went up to get the thing, or the kid runs in the room and they have to take the kid out, or the dog jumps in or whatever. And we have this collection. So one a day when I have time, I'm going to try to go through all the episodes where we see the guest's chair. And we'll do an episode where it's like, can you guess which guest sat in that chair?
Oh my gosh, I can imagine the comments too.
Oh, we've had some where they're strewn out on a leather couch by a fireplace. Some have. John Davidson was with us, and he was on his boat in Mexico.
Oh,
it was really, it's a really cool stuff. So, yeah, that's a cool chair. So, all right, Arwen Lewis is here again. Arwen Lewis Music. Make sure you add in music.com to go to the website and everything else, and all this music also on Spotify, iTunes, all.
Oh yeah, you can find all of my releases exactly on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, omadrecords.com.
OMAD, yeah, we've been showing that as well. And
my CD. Oh yeah, here I even brought one to show everybody.
Cool.
What my CD looks like. And then there's the back. You can see all the credits.
I love the expression. Tell us about the cover, the selection of the cover, and what you were thinking or feeling as that was shot.
Well, my friend, one of my closest friends, her name's Shenandoah Smith. She's Norwegian, and we met at Santa Barbara City College in acting class, but I wasn't successful, so we'll leave it at that. But she was actually a really great actress too, but she went into psychology. She does really interesting work. It's like neuroplasticity and things like that now. But she's also a singer and just a really close friend of mine. And I asked her, I was like, let's get together and try to get a photo for my album cover. And she said, sure. And so this blue background, it was a wall that was painted blue in her office. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Cause I'm calling the album Under the Stars. And the reason why I called the album Under the Stars is because everything that happened and all the songs happened under the stars. And anyway, so I don't know that I was it was actually kind of an accident, because I'm really bad at modeling. And so we were trying to figure out what I should do. And she was like, well, laugh. And a lot of those looked really weird. And she was like, oh, no, like close your eyes and look back. And so we did that, and I don't know, somehow she got this picture. And it was more straight. And my co-producer, Jonathan, and I were looking at it, and he was like, well, what if you cropped it up a little bit so it looks more like you're lying under the stars? And I was like, that's a great idea. And so this is the cropped version of that picture. And I liked how Sean Mosher Smith was able to wrap the color of the wall around the back to just kind of extend it. And then he also I wanted that color to be on the CD too, because I just thought it was cool. And my favorite band, the White Stripes, did things like that. And so, yeah, that's where the album cover came from.
Very, very nice. Yeah. It just gives you an idea of almost a little preview of what you're going to feel and experience. How did you pick the songs? How did you know I know a lot of times people will say, boy, I've got 30 songs, but I can only fit 11 on the disc or what have you. How did you narrow them down? How did you select them to have it be a total feeling?
Well, yeah, there's only 6 songs on there. And I just felt like that was it, and I wanted as far as what I was capable of coming up with and creating, I wanted people to listen to it, more than once and enjoy it, which I did. And I mean, I do, and I have, my friends and family and fans who listen to it say they like it to do that too. But I picked Doctor My Eyes just because I liked that song. And then Winter is a song that I wrote that kind of just was very natural. It was like a narrative story. I mean, it is about like heartbreak and things like that, but that actually wasn't about like an experience that I had. It just something, it's like a kind of a traditional theme that people write about. And I had written I had like 5 versions of the song, and there are 2 versions, newer versions of it on this record. The first one is like, I had the chords, and then, Jonathan, when he would come over to work on the music, we started all this like just in my living room. I'd just go sit outside and read a book, and he'd be at the computer, and I came back in, and he had this really cool like electric guitar, like country, like dark spaghetti western riff that I never would have thought of for the song, but I just thought it was perfect. And then the second version of it is a very beautiful piano composition by an artist named Jason Achilles. We had been doing some shows together, and he asked him to play piano on that song, and I was like, oh, I really like that version. And so he ended up recording an alternative take for me of the piano track, and then he suggested cello, and then this amazing cellist named Angus Cook put cello for the bottom end. And that is one of my favorite tracks on the record, because it's like, it sounds like if there's like a vibe that I'd want to go for in the future, it's like singing like I sound like I'm in a cathedral, and I want to experience that, like singing in a cathedral or like a very old theater with a lot of rich history and like really beautiful sound. I would love to play with like a string section, like orchestra behind me. That would be
love the cello.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And
me too. Yeah.
And like you said, you played violin right there, and that's hard to do that too.
That's a tough one, especially in the early months and years of it. I mentioned this before, on this show, but and I've said it before we even launched the Jim Masters show, that to me, I've always said, and then I interviewed a grad from Juilliard who was a cellist in New York, and we were at an event I was emceeing. It was a Carnegie Hall event, actually, a Christmas concert, and he was one of the cellists in the orchestra. And the cello, they were. I was going through the scripts for the introductions and everything else with everybody, and then they were in rehearsals. And of course, he started playing the cello, and we had some downtime. And I said, I want to throw this out there. I said, to me, whenever I hear the cello, it stops traffic for me. It pulls me in, it draws me in. That warm, sort of melancholy, deep, this is what it's all about, Alfie sort of effect that it has. Like, this is what it's all about. And this is what life's all about and everything. And so I said to him, I'm going to throw this out there. To me, whenever I hear the cello, which I really enjoy, whether it's solo or as part of an ensemble of other instruments, if the human heart made a sound that mimicked an instrument, to me, the warm, melancholy depth and warmth of the cello would be it, because it has that effect. And I said, what do you think? And he said, absolutely. That makes total sense. You're not crazy. I said, really? And he said, yeah. He said, because the cello, the tonality of the cello is one of the closest instruments to the human voice. So you are humanizing it, and everything about life and living and things you've experienced, you seem to be sort of summarizing up with the sound of the cello. And you always can hear the cello when it's part of other things, and it just really stands out for you, and it flows in and out of you. Does that make sense too as well?
Oh yeah. And it's the frequency. It's like it's a broad frequency, and it's like, it covers more, I don't know, like energetic or like is frequential a word?
Yeah. It's like a real warm, deep, sort of bold, but yet can be soft, but depending on how it's played. But it just, the frequencies just sort of really, it's like a grounding frequency. It's like, okay,
yes,
it plants you and says, okay, this is what it's all about. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned the cello and appreciating the cello. Sounds like you like all instruments. So
I do. Yeah.
What, the guitar? You said you mentioned the piano. Do you do other instruments as well? Have you over the years?
No, like, I mean, I guess I have a bass. I could play the bass. But I mean, I would like to explore like piano more. Like, I mean, I just want to be like, I mean, I feel like I want to just go further. Like, and I feel like if I'm able to like read music, first of all, learning how to do that is going to give me more freedom to like get somebody's chart and like play with them on stage. But it's also going to like just enhance my skill and my vocabulary, you know, when I'm playing with other people. So like, I think, you know, I would like to just kind of focus more on, you know, learning more about the guitar and piano and my voice too, you know, and like getting good at harmony. Cause I think when you know, understand the piano, that's like the kind of the easiest, most simple way to understand harmony, and develop your ear more. So yeah, I mean, it would be cool to like play the violin. I would like to play everything, I guess. But like, I think like piano and guitar and yeah, would be in my voice are things that I just want to explore more.
Are there people that you would love to collaborate with? People on the radar, or people that you're just like, boy, really cool to collaborate with them, either in recording or on stage, what have you?
Oh yeah, I mean, I mean, if you would have asked me this 5 years ago, I would have said Jack White. And obviously still like if I got to work with Jack White, that would be really cool. But I'm not like, I don't know, like diehard fan anymore.
Jack, would you like to step in now, or?
Yeah, if he's there, I'll take that back. Oh gosh, I don't know. I would probably, honestly, I would want to. If I mean, could it be somebody that's not alive, like you know, Miles?
Yeah,
Davis?
somebody passed that, like probably a Miles Davis, like you said. Anybody, yeah.
Miles Davis, if he was in a good mood.
Right, you'd have to get it on the good day, exactly.
Yeah.
So you want to tickle us with that song?
Sure. Yeah, this is one of my favorite little folk songs called Diamond Joe, and I play in Texas once a year, and this reminds me of Texas.
Do you tour, or you did, but not as much now, or?
I've never done like a big
full
no.
sort of.
I play regularly in Solving at a really awesome listening room called Lost Core Guitars. It's like state-of-the-art listening room. I'm just really lucky. It's around the corner from my house. And I go to LA and like I was very lucky to play in a showcase with this fantastic songwriter. Another one of my current favorite songwriters that I met through music and radio is Caroline Dazelle. And she puts on a monthly songwriter showcase at Hotel Cafe. And I got to perform in that, which is really fun. And then also George, Adrian, and my dad and I just played at a little place called the Redwood Bar. That was really fun too. So yeah, little clubs in LA, clubs here. And then when I go to Austin, I play like at a record store, and then I play on their radio station, the Co-op, and do kind of like what we're doing now, like a live interview and performance.
Very nice.
I got to play at the Bitter End in New York with John DeNicola and the band. That was fun. But
very cool, huh?
If I were going to go on tour, I would want like a really great like core group of musicians who, you know, I really vibe with and, you know, love their music, which I know plenty of them, you know, but like for there to be like funding for that and get on a bill with like another really cool band and play in like really cool theaters and like places with like a lot of like rich history and energy. And I don't really care about playing an arena like at all. Like I would want to have or like Carnegie Hall or, you know, like the Ryman or, you know, places like that.
How about Red Rocks?
I would love to play at Red Rocks. Absolutely. I've been there before. I saw Ryan Adams.
Yeah, I've been there too. I saw concerts there, but we did a TV shoot for a news show, and it's just, and the acoustics, unbelievable. It's really I encourage anybody to get to Colorado, to the Denver area, and get out to Red Rocks if you could ever even if you're not seeing a concert, just experience that area. It's really breathtaking. It takes your breath away.
Oh, we were just, we had the best time, and it was so beautiful. And then, I mean, I'm a Ryan Adams fan. He was really great. His band was awesome. So I don't know when this was, maybe 2020. Probably 2018. Or like, I don't know, like the Hollywood Bowl or the Greek Theater or the Santa Barbara Bowl. Okay, like those types of places.
Those are pretty good, right? The Acropolis, Royal Albert Hall, the Sydney Opera House.
Yes. Those types of places.
That's it.
anywhere with class.
That's it. Well, you've got the beautiful Eiffel Tower behind you. So, hey, you know,
If I did have this dream once that I was like at a cafe in Paris and I was like playing violin, like, and like that, there was like people having cappuccino and croissants, and like, I would like to do that actually. So I would learn the violin for that.
sounds like you might be a screenwriter as well.
Well, I'm really like, I'll make up stories all day.
That's it. That's it. That's the creative side. All right. We're ready to go. And looking forward to it. Here is our fabulous friend, Arwen Lewis, here on the Jim Masters Show live.
There is a man you'll hear about most any place you go. His homes are in Texas. His name is Diamond Joe. He carries all his money in a diamond-studded jar. He never was much bothered by the process of the law. I hired out Diamond Joe, boys. I offered him my hand. He gave me a string of horses, so old they couldn't stand. I locked and starved to death, boys. He did mistreat me so. I never saved a dollar in the pay of Diamond Joe. And his bread, it was a corn dodger. His meat I couldn't chop. And he kept me well distracted with the wagging of his jaw and the telling of his story. I aim to let you know there never was a rounder who lied like Diamond Joe. I tried 3 times to quit him, boys, but he did argue so. And I'm still pushing cattle in the pay of Diamond Joe. And when I'm called up yonder and it come my time to go, leave my blankets to my buddies, save the fleas for Diamond Joe.
And the roar of the crowd and the applause and the building roof comes off. We were letting it just sort of sink in and settle in, kind of like what we were talking about. How do you feel after you're sort of rocking back and forth? You get into a zone, you get into a vibe, don't you, when you're playing and your performance?
Yeah, like, I mean, I really prefer to close my eyes, so I don't know if people are looking at me or not. And whenever I perform, I also really prefer for the lights to be off in the audience, so I'm in my zone, in my bubble. That's like, I'm a Cancer, so that's a Cancer in me. But yeah, like, I think I just like to go into the zone and experience the song and experience the music, and I hope that, and I mean, I definitely like I embody some kind of like, it's like a peaceful emotion, like what we were talking about earlier. Like when you get in the zone with what you like to do, is like you're completely connected and in alignment within the moment. You're not thinking about anything else, and that like cultivates peace. And but like, I mean, I love like I've played in rock bands before too, and I really enjoy that, which isn't necessarily peaceful, but it's joyful. So however you get in the zone and feel the energy of the sound waves that you're creating is nice.
What are some other things that you have that are coming up that you're very excited about, Arwen, that you might want to share?
Well, let's see. I don't have a lot of shows at the moment, but this is kind of fun. I'm going to be taking over booking and doing some behind the scenes work at an awesome club that I was mentioning, Lost Chord Guitars. So I'm really excited to work with the owners, and my very good friend who was doing that she'd opened a business, and so she's just giving it to me, basically giving me the position. But I've been involved with that venue for a long time. I've grown a lot as an artist and musician. I've learned sound engineering. Probably going to be able to be doing some live radio shows with live performances for my guests and interviews, and maybe getting somewhere along the lines that I was talking about, having a variety show, but maybe it might just be through radio, but film too. And I'm sure I'll probably incorporate my music into something like that. And there are a couple of recordings that are coming out off of a label that I can't quite mention yet, but
coming soon.
Yeah, things to look forward to over the holidays that I've had a lot of fun.
I was going to say, a lot of people have been saying that a goal of theirs is a Christmas album. Is that something that is on your radar?
It's on the way. It's not an album, but I have 2 songs on an upcoming compilation.
Fantastic.
Well, one of them is a song that my dad wrote and I got to sing, and the other is a classic Christmas song. If spoil anything else, but they're both very beautiful, very fun. And I'll be sure to let you know when it's
in the fall, if that'll be for this Christmas, you're hoping?
It's going to come out for this season. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. Congratulations on that, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I want to get to creating again. I'm feeling like inspired to, create and write more songs and start working on maybe another album too. So I like doing I like being involved in every aspect, right? Like you kind of seem to be interested in doing the same thing.
Very much got, hands in all the different aspects of it. Are you a good delegator or no?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah. I'd say so.
I've had to learn to do that. I'm like, don't worry about it. You go home, I'll take care of it. And then you're there till midnight or 1 a.m., solving everything or trying to fix everything. And it's like, you do have to delegate. You do have to say, look, it's okay. You can do it, and you can do that, and you can do that. And especially, in this case, when you've created something, it's kind of like your baby, right? Your songs are like children to you in a way.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And I have this conversation with like all of my artist friends, or I ask my guests on my show, like, how do you know when a recording is ready? And the last person I asked that question was the engineer who worked on the Under the Stars record, Graham. And he was like, you know what? Like he was talking about how my co-producer Jonathan and I were at his studio, and we were talking about, well, how do we know when it's ready? And Jonathan was like, you just have to abandon your recordings. Or like whatever, it's kind of true, when it sounds, I think somebody else told me, it's like, okay, well, when it sounds good,
right.
And so, yeah, they are like, art, it is like a child or something it's part of you. And then like, it's an interesting experience when you create that and then you release it out into the world. And it's kind of like, and that's why I think it's really, really crucial for artists to always be creating their piece of work for the sole purpose of the joy that it brings them to create it and listen to it, and not have too many expectations of what's going to happen as far as the success is concerned. Because first of all, I don't think the art is authentic or like moving if people are literally just trying to make something to sell it or get attention, quote unquote, or something. I think and it protects you as an artist, and it protects your spirit and your soul if you're just you'll be satisfied enough with the beauty of what you've created and sharing that beauty with whoever wants to share it with you. But also, it is obviously, it's nice when people are responsive and they're like, oh, I like your music. But
you're doing it for the heart and soul. You're doing it because of the love of it, and anything that comes after, any residual, any of the things that, whether it's awards or income or anything else, that's all the icing on the cake. It's not what's the driving force. The driving force is the passion and love and desire and need to make, create, and perform the music, right?
Yeah, and I mean, the reason why I put myself out there in the public as an artist or as a musician is because that connects me to other like-minded people. And like I got to meet you and have this conversation today. And I mean, I've met so many amazing people who I just like enjoy being around and conversing with and being involved with, through putting myself out there as an artist, or, you know, in whatever realm of the entertainment industry that I'm in that day. So
Right. Whatever hat you're wearing. Exactly. I know how that is. Exactly.
and so, yeah, I think if you're doing it for the love of it, you're going to, you know, connect other people, and it creates community and makes the world a better place.
Which is what it's all about. What are some of those, sometimes I like to ask, the blessings and joys in your life that propel you to do what you do and do so beautifully?
Well, I mean, I'm really lucky to have, I mean, I don't have a fancy studio set up, but I have the tools I need to record on GarageBand, which is awesome. I have you know, my instruments right next to me, my living room at my house. I have connections to incredibly talented musicians who I can collaborate with and who have helped me, you know, bring my music to life in a way that I just wasn't able to at the time, and who have also inspired me to learn how to play like they do. I like being involved with Lost Chord Guitar. It's right around the corner from my house, and it's a great listening room that I've been able to grow as an artist. And like I said, like in learning about a little bit about sound engineering, having my connection for my radio show, like, I mean, everything that I've, you know, been given the opportunity to be a part of and kind of have at my fingertips, that's in the realm of entertainment and art and music. Is, yeah, that's what gives me the wind beneath my wings. It's like I make of it what I will, but I have so much to make something from, which, so I feel lucky. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you are, and so are we, because you're doing that and we're the beneficiaries of it. Have you had a chance to go to John's place to
Um,
record?
yeah, I went in, well, I haven't, like, when was that? 2015, 2016. It's been a while since I've been to New York. But I did, yeah, I did all my vocals out there in New York at this studio in Manhattan. And then we went back again, and then we did shows with the band that played on the Arwen record at the bitter end. And that was, and I remember my dad and I, we went out to dinner with John and whatever. My dad and I were walking back to the hotel, and we were in Manhattan. I think we walked by Madison Square Garden, and then we grabbed a Village Voice out of the newspaper, and I opened up, and John had put like a big ad in the Village Voice for me. It was fun.
Wow.
It was fun.
That's
And
cool, huh?
I just remember walking around the city with my dad that night. It was really special. My mom did come to New York too, but she met us later. And he spent a lot of time in New York as a child. And so we talked about, you know, his life there and the Broadway plays he would see. And yeah, just there's nothing like being in the city too. Like, I mean, in Los Angeles is the same way. Like, there's a certain energy that, like, I mean, people say they get lonely when they move to a city. I'm like, geez, why? Like, there's so much to do and so much energy. Like,
humanity is right there. Yeah.
yeah.
Right?
Like, I mean, yeah. So anyway, yeah.
Do you like nature? Do you crave nature too? Do you like to get out in nature?
Oh yeah. I'm like, I like everything. Oh, I like, you know, yeah. Like, I love being outside. I like going out into the desert, or I love the mountains. I love the ocean. I love everything. I mean, if there's one thing I would love, you know what I would like music to? I would like it to take me around the world. And I like to go, you know, explore the world and, you know, play music in cool places and meet people.
Around the world with Arwen. I like that.
Yeah, maybe that's my next, you know, I need to call Daft Punk. I think they have a song called Around the World. Maybe they could just collaborate with me or something. We'll do a remix.
That would be cool. This was really awesome, my friend. Thanks for your generosity of time and performing and telling these amazing stories about your epic career and what drives and motivates you and how you got started and all the incredible things that you're working on and why you do what you do. And congratulations on the new music as well. And of course, everybody, as we mentioned, make sure you add the word music into the title, arwenlewismusic.com. You can also go to Spotify and iTunes, all the other great places. And of course, omadrecords.com. That's John's wonderful label. He was a guest on our show, John DeNicola, another incredible talent. And it was nice to even brush a little bit into the wonderful world of your grandmother, Loretta Young.
Yeah.
Amazing. I know our audience is like crazy about that and loving it. And your dad, of course, Peter Lewis, from Moby Grape, and of course all of his music that's happening. You guys working together, and really was a blessing to have you here. Spread the word about our show. As I say to everybody, Arwen, we are going to keep the porch light on for you here at the Jim Master Show. You are welcome back anytime, and I hope you enjoy the time with me as much as I have absolutely with you.
I thank you so much, Jim. It was great to talk to you and get to learn more about you too, and just keep in touch. Yeah.
We shall, and you as well. Again, thanks for all the terrific music, and come see us again, okay?
I will. Thanks so much.
You take good care, and you be well, all right?
All right. Take care of you too.
All right. Bye-bye. Arwen Lewis here on the Jim Masters Show live series. Again, if you'd like to check out her music, check out the new music. Here is that fabulous EP, Under the Stars. And again, you got a chance to really learn a little bit more about her. And she has her own fabulous take on life, which is very inspirational and empowering, really, really beautiful. And again, it's something that you have an opportunity to experience through her music. Again, Arwen Lewis Music. Well, there's allmadrecords.com, and then arwenlewismusic.com. Make sure you add the word in music. I think if you went to Arwen Lewis, it would just come up anyway because it's a unique name, but just put in the word music.com. And again, yeah, I know a lot of you got a kick out of when we talked about her grandmother being the incomparable Oscar and Emmy winning actress, her grandmother, Loretta Young, the one and only iconic Loretta Young. And of course, how many of you remember, those of you who were around for it, Loretta Young Show, which was very, very popular, and so much more. A lot of her lineage is incredible. And of course, her father, still performing too, singer, songwriter, poet, the incomparable Peter Lewis, from one of the founding members of Moby Grape, the really popular 60s psychedelic sound that was captured with that group, was quite original and really something special. And of course, all that music is still out there too. A lot of real collectors dive in. And again, we thank Arwen for joining us here. Really a terrific, terrific conversation. And guess what? The bonus, she played live for us as well. Hey, gang, as we always say, if you'd like us to grow and want to see more of these series, make sure you give this episode a like. We would love that. All the episodes you enjoy, click the like, thumbs up icon on the YouTube channel. Share the episode on your social media. If you haven't, we would love it if you subscribe to the YouTube channel. It helps us grow. It lets us know you're enjoying what we're doing. You're a part of the JMS Lovity family here. We have viewers that watch from all around the world, and we welcome and thank each and every one of you. And and leave a comment in the comment section as well. We appreciate you doing that. Thanks to everybody commenting and everybody celebrating our very special guests. They're so nice to see you again. Arwen Lewis joining us here, singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist. Thanks to Merlin and Sherry and Maureen and Kathleen and Jane and all the regulars and everybody else that's commenting and celebrating. We appreciate you too. Hey, we're going to keep the porch light on for you as well. Quick reminder, a little housekeeping here. We have hundreds of episodes of our series that you can binge watch on the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. So go back in time and check out some of the other celebrity friends and special guests who've stopped by the Jim Masters Show Live series and enjoy. We've been doing that here too at Lovity Hall. Going back, like the show is like 4.5 years so far and counting of material, of episode after episode. And some I'm like, oh my God, that's right, that guest. And we did this and this guest returned. And boy, so many shows and such a variety of guests, we have here. Something for everybody at the Jim Masters Show Live series. We don't box us into just one type of genre. We encompass it all like a celebrity talk show series, and it's so cool to do. Love having you here. Don't forget to take care of one another. Don't forget to love one another. And don't forget to take care of and love yourself. And come see us again. We're here at the Jim Masters Show Live. I am Jim Masters. You be well. Take care. We'll see you on the next one here at JMS. Cheers.